Well, it's official. YouTube has just now banned anything related to health that doesn't align with the general medical consensus.
This is a real problem, and Dr. Berg is spot on so far. Are keto diet proponents going to be censored? Is Dr. Berg going to get censored? I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and there is a interesting change that's happening at YouTube, and this might be a cause for concern. If you don't have my top 10 tips on how to start keto right, please look in the description below while it's still there. Well, Dr. Berg, now if you don't know who Dr. Berg is, Dr. Eric Berg is one of the most prominent YouTube influencers about the keto diet that there is. I have been in the keto low-carb research world for over 20 years, and I didn't know who Dr. Berg was until I went to teach in China. I was at a meeting, this is before the COVID era, and I asked people at the meeting, who else do you know in the US and on YouTube? And they said, in unison, Dr. Eric Berg. This is years ago, and I didn't know who Dr. Berg was. I came back to the US after the trip teaching there, and I emailed Dr. Berg and connected, and turns out he was putting on his first conference down in Washington, D.C., and the area there, and he didn't know who to invite. So I kind of unleashed my Rolodex to have speakers at Dr. Eric Berg's first meeting, and what he explained to me is that he didn't know anyone else really was teaching this and doing it. As a chiropractor, he was starting to use low-carb keto diets in his practice and has a lot of clinical experience using it. So he started doing his classic whiteboard videos teaching about metabolism and getting information about keto diets out there. And now, I guess before I get into the video, Dr. Eric Berg has to be credited for getting the keto diet on the mainstream platform of what people learn about on the YouTube, on the internet. Getting the awareness probably has influenced so many people that now companies are coming out with keto products. So many people are doing it. So it is a concern now that Dr. Berg is talking about possibly getting censored or silenced. Let's see what he says.
Well, it's official. YouTube has just now banned anything related to health that doesn't align with the general medical consensus. So, if any information related to health doesn't agree with the World Health Organization, they won't necessarily always take down the video, but they're going to change the algorithms. So, they're going to replace those videos that were popular, that had lots of likes and lots of engagement, with medical information. This new partnership with YouTube is supposed to protect you against misinformation and promote high quality health information. And their definition of misinformation is anything that opposes their viewpoint.
Wow. So if you don't know about the World Health Organization, you didn't hear about them during the COVID times, they are influenced by forces outside health. They are lobbied by companies, and in the nutrition world, it's very much influenced and lobbied by the plant-based companies, plant-based researchers who are on a mission to get you not to eat meat. So there are agendas that are not health related that come through the World Health Organization. I don't agree with everything the World Health Organization talks about, and I'm at Duke University. So there are academics who don't agree with that organization. I'm not sure YouTube should only use one organization. That would be a disaster.
I mean, if you go to drberg.com, you will see that I have 7,607 success stories. I'm helping people. I'm giving people lots of non-toxic solutions. And if you just read the comments, you'll see that a lot of people are being helped. So my information is not dangerous. It's not misinformation. It's actually quite helpful. And this new change is going to hurt a lot of people. because they're not going to be able to find alternative viewpoints, alternative opinions. Sometimes medicine doesn't work. Looking for inexpensive natural remedies.
Yeah, or the medical world is focused on using medications, not lifestyle or diet. And that's true in my sphere. The internal medicine doctors that are trained and also now in training basically are indoctrinated and trained that medications are really the only way to treat people. And so now imagine if the pharmaceutical companies are involved in influencing guidelines in the World Health Organization. If you don't talk about using a medicine first, then you're going to be going down on the algorithms. When you think about it, I thought YouTube was the ability for the individual to not go through the standard filters and have to go. People come to my office now and say, "I saw you on TV," and I said, "No, you didn't. I'm not on network TV. What happened is you saw me on YouTube on your TV." So YouTube allows for the transmission of information without the filter. And now, unless there's proof that an individual is harming someone, this makes no sense. Dr. Berg is making the case, which I agree with, that actually his information and a lot of the information that I put out there is actually helping people. And without evidence of harm, just because it doesn't go along with the World Health Organization or other guideline organization is not enough to take down or put it down to the bottom on the pecking order of an algorithm, in my opinion.
To handle certain body issues. But guess what? Now they're going to have a very difficult time finding those solutions because all these medical sites are going to replace alternative health. I mean, I used to rank for so many conditions. Now you can't even find me unless you type Dr. Berg slash whatever. And even on the keto diet, I have 928 keto videos. That's right, 928 videos. Guess what? When you type keto diet, you can't find me. Instead, the number one ranked video is from Mayo Clinic, okay? And the comments are turned off. And you can see the likes are actually not very high compared to the number of views. I think they have like 260,000 views, but very few likes. And it's an anti keto video. And I'm going to share some interesting things in that video. But I first want to communicate a couple things. A long time ago when Google started, they had this motto, and that was do the right thing. And then they changed it to don't be evil. And now I don't even know what if they have a motto. But you think just giving people this one medical viewpoint, this monopoly over your body, your healthcare, you think that's going to increase the quality of health? I mean, basically this move is going to wipe out the competition, and competition competing viewpoints and opinions are very, very good in the healthcare field because it forces everyone to raise the bar and do better at getting results. And how do we trust this medical group with all the strategic alliances and the strategic partners? The strategic alliances with Big Pharma and how they partner with medical universities and medical journals. How do we trust that? Like I said before, their definition of misinformation is basically any information that opposes the medical viewpoint, the medical consensus. How do we make sure they're transparent with all the conflict of interest, the strategic alliances and the strategic partners, and what they call the stakeholders, which some of them are part of industry, and of course, the revolving doors with all the directors. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I think it's going to hurt a lot of people because freedom of health information is really freedom of speech. And it's a very slippery slope. The more you start filtering out other opinions, other viewpoints, so many people go on the internet because they have not gotten results with certain types of medications and they're trying to find alternatives. So if someone wants something that's non toxic or something that's natural or a do it yourself remedy, that is all considered dangerous misinformation. Yeah, it's just terrible. But it's not just me, it's all the other alternative healthcare practitioners, anyone who comments on nutrition, even the layperson who wants to share their viewpoint on health, they're not going to rank. And this doesn't just hurt me or them, it hurts the person trying to find the right knowledge.
I suppose 15 years ago, I might have said this is sensationalism. Dr. Berg's clearly out for himself. No, but now that I've been in a space where doctors don't talk about nutrition, doctors aren't trained about nutrition, the medical world is poised to push you toward drugs. I mean, just look at the massive interest in Wegovy and other Saxenda, Ozempic, Ribelsis. I mean, all of these, it's one type of molecule, one drug, when a low-carb keto diet works almost as well, and you don't have to buy a shot. You don't have to inject yourself or pay for that. So this is a real problem, and Dr. Berg is spot on so far.
We're going to be pretty much stuck with just one way of treating the body. And they call this science. They call this high quality health information, really? And there's also a really interesting side comment that I read about this, and they call it the silent epidemic. It's called health illiteracy. And some of these people that are writing about this give health illiteracy as the reason why people aren't going to the doctors as much and they're going online searching for alternative viewpoints on health. And this is what they defined health illiteracy. You ready for this? It's an inability to comprehend and use medical information. And they say this, it's worse with the elderly, poor people, and minorities. Sounds a little bit like discrimination to me. So basically, they're saying that it's an epidemic out there. There's so many people who just can't understand medicine, right? And that's probably why they're going to alternative sites, like things like that, and not sticking with incredible high quality healthcare information. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, maybe they don't understand it because the doctor's talking over their head or the information doesn't make sense, or maybe they do really understand. They just don't agree with this idea of suppressing a symptom with a drug and being on the drug the rest of your life. To me, that's not science. I mean, even if you start looking up like pretty much almost every disease, psoriasis, MS, and if you look at the cause of this, it'll say unknown cause, unknown cause. We don't know what causes it. Well, if you don't know what causes it, what makes you the expert over that condition? But what really frustrates me is having them take over the keywords for the ketogenic diet. Now, why is that a bad thing? Because they don't have any experience in that area. Many times when doctors go to school, they don't get a lot of training in nutrition or anything alternative. And so now they get to be the controllers of that information as well. This next video that I'm going to show you is the video ranked #1 for the ketogenic diet. Check this out.
According to Dr. Google, the most searched question of 2018 was, what is the keto diet?
Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, and this was even 4 years ago, keto is very popular. People are searching for it. The bottom line is the more people that get on this diet, the less medication they're going to need because it handles so many issues.
Instead of carbs for energy, the body burns fat, entering a state called ketosis.
Ketosis, what could go wrong? Sounds like a great plan. Sounds a little dangerous to me. That's why I've not tried it.
Dangerous? Really? Here's the problem. The lack of differentiating between therapeutic ketosis, okay, or they call it nutritional ketosis, and ketoacidosis. But mild ketosis or therapeutic ketosis is extremely therapeutic. And I'm going to put some links on a whole bunch of science behind that supports that.
It's clinical.
There's a new textbook called Ketogenic that came out just this last month. It's the science of therapeutic carbohydrate restriction. Interesting, even this person who's making fun of a keto diet and never tried it will be very happy in 2 or 3 days if she doesn't eat anything. She will go into nutritional ketosis. We all do, because we store fat on our bodies. So it's not dangerous. It's not, what kind of body would go into self-destruct mode when food wasn't around? So it's a fear of the unknown here, and worrying about ketoacidosis when I hadn't seen ketoacidosis in my clinic at Duke using nutritional ketosis until one of my patients went on a drug that caused the leaking of the urine glucose, and became ketoacidotic from the drug, not from the diet. So now there are drugs that cause ketoacidosis, and I'm afraid of that too. But that's not what I use. I use a diet that causes nutritional ketosis, like Dr. Berg is talking about.
I think about ketosis, sometimes I get a little nervous. I think, well, gosh, we don't really actually want you in ketosis. But can you tell us about that?
Right. And I think this is something that is the unknown with when people are saying, well, I'm going to put myself on a ketogenic diet and be in ketosis, because really when you think about what ketosis is, it's a alternative pathway that our body has to use in times of emergency.
So right there, you could see that huge bias. They don't want people to do keto. They think ketosis only occurs in an emergency situation when you are starving or something like that. That is so false. Talk about misinformation on steroids. That is absolutely not true.
Remember, this is the first video that a newcomer to the keto world will be watching. You search the keto diet and you're going to get that misinformation.
Did you realize that when your body goes into this mild ketosis, your flight or fight mechanism goes down? It reduces cortisol. You help balance the autonomic nervous system. It's anything but emergency. It's super healthy.
So you're right. It's something that historically has alarmed us in terms of we don't necessarily want people to be in ketosis. It can be
Oh, well, so look at the textbook, doctor or dietitian, whoever is there on this. And of course, as Dr. Berg mentioned, I think this is 3 years old, this video being the first one that someone's going to watch when searching for the keto diet. I wouldn't have gotten beyond this had 25 years ago when I first was faced with the keto diet. 2 of my patients did it in front of me. They lost 50 pounds. I didn't know anything about it. I was curious, so it certainly could work, but I was worried about the health effects too. So we embarked on a series of clinical studies, almost like designing studies to evaluate a new drug. And so over the last 20 years, we've published papers, randomized trials in major medical journals. Now those studies have been done all over the world. In a textbook called Ketogenic, you'll see all of those papers.
very dangerous. Ketone bodies are considered toxic. Your body has two ways of getting rid of them. You either exhale them through your breath or you urinate them out. And so it is a stressful kind of process on your body too, because your body is trying to rid itself of these ketone bodies.
Here's another clip that shows that they just don't have any information about this. They have zero information about the healthy version of ketosis. It's not toxic. It's not dangerous. Ketones are actually a super fuel. Ketones are an antioxidant. And they talk about it being toxic because your body's trying to get rid of it through urine or breath. That's just in the transition step. When you're transitioning over to burning fat, the motor is inefficient. So you're wasting some of these ketones. And then very quickly, your body becomes very efficient where you're utilizing all this ketone energy. In fact, a ketone is much more efficient than glucose. It produces more energy and it runs off fat. I mean, just think about way back when we had this hunter-gatherer type environment. We developed this ability to run on ketones for a survival mechanism because we didn't have food available. We didn't have all these carbohydrates. So to say that ketones are dangerous, it's just the opposite. Glucose is dangerous and toxic. In fact, the numbers of people who have diabetes have a condition called hyperglycemia. That's high blood glucose. Another term for that is glucotoxicity. Okay, that's very, very damaging. And what's really interesting about that concept is this: when you eat a lot of sugar and carbs, okay, which they don't seem to have a problem with, over time, you develop diabetes, right? And in advanced type 2 diabetes, as well as type 1 diabetes, that's when you can develop this ketoacidosis problem. So the number one reason why people have ketoacidosis is because they have high blood glucose, okay? It has nothing to do with being on a ketogenic diet. I've never met one person that's went on the ketogenic diet and has developed ketoacidosis.
And in my experience, it's only because my patient was put on a drug that caused the ketoacidosis. It's an SGLT2 inhibitor drug.
Dr. Kozing, you and I both said we know people who
I know
have
several
lost,
people.
lost hundreds of
I think
pounds.
people I know socially or people that patients of mine, and big weight loss, and they feel great.
Well, and so for them, they consider that to be, finger quotes, successful.
Yeah.
But possibly, we're talking two different languages here.
So
ketosis and those ketones and things, that is not someplace that you want to be health-wise.
Yes, weight loss is one of those successful indicators, but about all the other great indicators, like the improved blood sugars, like the having less of a fatty liver, better cholesterol levels, better energy, better cognitive function, less inflammation, better mood. These are all the benefits of the ketogenic diet. Anyway, I have a personal favor I want to ask you. I would love to get your opinion on this situation. So if you would please click the link down below and go through the survey questions and tell me what your opinion is on this, what I think is very radical recent change of suppressing other viewpoints on health. So I want to thank you for watching this video and thank you in advance for filling out this survey because I really want to know what you think about this.
I'm going to fill in that survey. I hope you do too. And I'm not totally against some sort of algorithm censoring or pushing to the bottom. I mean, so a few thoughts. I always go over who is putting out this video. Always consider the source. For me, a practicing doctor is high on the list, if not highest. Someone who is having people come back to their office on a daily or almost daily basis saying, you know, what you told me didn't work, or it is working because of this. There's a lot of street credibility, a lot of value I put in a practicing doctor who is an influencer about the topic that they're talking about. It could be obesity medicine, which is one of my subspecialties. It could be keto medicine. Dr. Berg is not currently in clinical practice, but he was in clinical practice. So I suppose the next level of credibility would be used to be in practice or used this in clinical practice for 15 years and giving information now. It's hard to do a practice and to do internet influencing. It's very difficult to do. It's a full-time job, I'm afraid, to do both. It's two jobs. So the other thing that comes to mind is maybe there should be a way to separate out the hucksters, the selling of things, of products, of vitamins, of apple cider vinegar, of all these things that really aren't necessary. Maybe there would be an imprint on the video that says no products sold in this video. That way you won't get someone who's clearly just out to give information and then sell a product. Not that selling a product is bad, but at least it would separate out the information from the selling of products, which is, I think, a legitimate critique and concern about information on YouTube. Just having an academic credential, I'm at Duke University, that was Mayo Clinic, that was Harvard, there's so much disagreement even among the academics. I don't think that's as important as if you want information about a keto diet, talk to someone who's using a keto diet. If you want information on a vegan diet, talk to someone who's using a vegan diet. Don't look to a vegan influencer for information on a keto diet. Don't talk to a keto diet doctor like me for information on a vegan diet. I mean, I can read papers and like anyone else, but I don't have that day-to-day experience of using it, of handling the questions in the right way. And there's a lot to learn. They're very different. It's like driving on the right hand and left hand side of the road. The rules are different and the way you say things even is different. Fruit would not be a good thing if you're doing a keto diet, especially at the beginning when you're trying to lose weight, where fruit would be a great thing on a vegan diet, for example. Well, Dr. Berg, I have to say I'm a bit disturbed, like you, that I thought YouTube was going to be sort of the answer to censorship, and unless there's direct evidence that you're harming people, which I have not seen any direct evidence, you have not seen direct evidence, that it just seems unreasonable to take away what you've worked so hard for and so long. And I learned about you first in Beijing from the Chinese folks who were learning from you on YouTube, and the amount of influence and rising in acceptability of the keto diet. I have to thank you, Dr. Berg, for that, and I hope there will be some remedy for this so that you continue to still have the effect that you've had on other people. If you like this, please click like, subscribe so you don't miss out on further videos, ring the notification bell. Why not send to a friend? This is a grassroots effort. If you don't have my top 10 tips to start keto right, look in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and check out adaptyourlifeacademy.com.